The Los Angeles supermarket on that ordinary afternoon was bathed in sunlight streaming through the windows, a quiet counterpoint to the city's distant hum of traffic and occasional sirens. Inside, shelves overflowed with colorful products, each aisle a blend of aromas, the comforting scent of freshly baked bread, the sharp sweetness of tropical fruits, the crisp fragrance of washed vegetables. Shopping cart wheels softly rumbled across the polished tile floor, and small queues had begun to form at the checkout lanes. Children's gleeful shouts mixed with the cheerful chatter of cashiers and intermittent announcements, forming the supermarket's own unique symphony. Everyone was engrossed in their own world, navigating daily errands and making small decisions. Before we continue this story, let us know where you're watching from in the comments. If you enjoy stories like this, remember to subscribe to the channel, because tomorrow we have another special story for you. Keanu Reeves was part of this ordinary scene. Dressed simply in a plain navy shirt and worn jeans, he effortlessly blended into the crowd. His head was slightly bowed, but a serene expression graced his face. Unnoticed by most, he gently placed his chosen items, a carton of plant-based milk, a bunch of bananas, a few organic vegetables, into his shopping cart. For him, this was a tranquil moment, a reprieve from the complexities of fame, a chance to savor the simple pleasures of everyday life. He could hear the cashier's light-hearted conversations, watch a small child pleading with their mother for chocolate, and immerse himself in the fabric of the market. He was enjoying the moment, simply existing, unburdened by anything superfluous. Even in these mundane actions, the deep peace and tranquility he exuded were palpable, subtly standing out amidst the hubbub. At the checkout, a long line stretched, seeming to inch forward. At the very front stood Walter, an elderly man in his 70s. With thinning white hair, slightly stooped shoulders, and the slow movements that come with age, he painstakingly tried to place his few items, one by one, onto the conveyor belt. One of his hands trembled, making the task even harder. On Walter's face were etched not just the lines of daily worry, but also the deeper marks of life's fatigue and hurts. In those moments, he felt as though the entire world was waiting for his slowness. With every trembling hand, every dropped item, his self-confidence seemed to wane further. A fleeting thought crossed his mind. If only I were younger, as if grappling with memories of the past. He should be faster, stronger. Next to him, tucked forgotten in his shopping cart, was a slightly faded single rose, his late wife's favorite, a small detail he always remembered. Behind him stood Chad, a young man in his early 20s, dressed in modern, trendy clothes, agitated and tense. A prominent vein pulsed in Chad's forehead. He constantly checked his smartphone, tracking stock market dips or the latest social media trends. He impatiently tapped his foot, tired of watching the clock. His eyes were fixed on Walter's slow movements, each passing second irritating him more. For Chad, time was money, and this old man was wasting his. "Come on, hurry up! We don't have all day here." Chad grumbled, not shouting, but loud enough for everyone near the checkout to hear. Walter flinched slightly, acknowledging he'd heard, and turned as if to apologize, but his hands became clumsy. Just then, a box of cereal he was trying to place on the belt slipped from his grasp and crashed to the floor, spilling flakes everywhere with a small pop that broke the quiet. Walter's embarrassment intensified. Chad's eyes instantly widened, reddening with rage. It was as if all the impatience in the world had condensed into this minor incident. "You old people are slowing down the whole world. Clumsy old man," he yelled, his voice echoing through the entire checkout area, drawing customers' attention. The soft supermarket music seemed to cut out instantly. All eyes were on Chad and Walter. A few people self-consciously pulled out their cell phones, discreetly starting to record, while others turned their heads away. No one dared to intervene. A suffocating silence descended. Walter, his face quickly flushing, bent down to collect the spilled cereal. No matter how fast he tried to move his trembling fingers, they betrayed him, making him feel even more helpless. Chad pushed further. He harshly kicked the box of cereal on the floor towards Walter's legs. The last few flakes scattered across the supermarket tiles, leaving a harsh stain. "Get out of here, you old slowpoke!" "Get out of my way!" Walter's face was a mask of shame mixed with resignation. His eyes welled up, not just from the immediate humiliation, but as if from the accumulated burden of all the hardships, all the slights he'd endured throughout his life. The struggles of his youth, the harsh days in the military, the grief of losing his wife. It all seemed to surface again in that moment. As he bent once more to pick up the fallen box, his trembling hands were useless. He felt everyone around him staring, pitying him, which only compounded his shame. He was alone, helpless. Chad, looking triumphant, advanced on him, almost expecting him to kneel. With a confident, arrogant expression, he leaned over Walter, almost spitting his words. "Look at me, I'm sick of you. Your kind should be at home, not in supermarkets." It was at that precise moment that a figure who had been quietly in the background stepped forward, silently but resolutely. His steps were slow and measured, as if there was no need to rush, each stride carrying a certain weight. This was Keanu Reeves. His face was devoid of expression, yet his eyes were like ice, as if piercing through the veil of Chad's anger and powerlessness. He positioned himself between Chad and Walter, creating an invisible wall. Chad, startled as Keanu's shadow fell over him, was taken aback. This was not the reaction he had anticipated. Chad, surprised by this unexpected intervention, was utterly taken aback. Not recognizing Keanu, he yelled, "Who the hell are you? Mind your own business!" His voice rising sharply, a mix of rage and shock. Keanu's voice was calm, but each word struck like a rock, echoing distinctly. "You are making it my business. You are disrespecting this man." Keanu's tranquility only fueled Chad's anger, as he was unaccustomed to such a measured response. Chad tried to push Keanu, stepping forward menacingly, his face contorted with rage, his hands trembling. "Are you lecturing me, you passive fool? Get out of my face. Get out of my sight. Are you looking for trouble? Who do you think you are, talking to me like that?" Keanu didn't move an inch despite Chad's threatening steps and rising voice. He stood as unyielding as a statue. His gaze never left Chad's furious eyes, as if piercing into him, reading his soul. A faint, almost imperceptible smile touched Keanu's lips, but this smile only enraged Chad further. Chad's shouting in that moment transformed from a mere outburst into a desperate, uncontrolled cry. "I think the only thing that's bad here is your behavior," Keanu said, his voice still calm yet firm, each syllable distinct. "Show some respect to this gentleman. Everyone has a story, and yours isn't looking very good right now. Tearing others down doesn't uplift you." Keanu cast a brief glance at Walter, a deep compassion in his eyes. Meanwhile, a stir began among the other customers at the checkout. A few had already pulled out their cell phones, discreetly recording this unexpected drama. Some recognized Keanu, and whispers quickly spread, "Oh my God, that's Keanu Reeves. What's Keanu Reeves doing at the supermarket? Who is that guy yelling at him?" These whispers and the flashes of phone cameras reached Chad's ears, and for the first time, a flicker of surprise appeared in his eyes. He wanted to back away, but it was as if an invisible force held him in place, trapped between shame and fury, sensing the cameras now trained on him. After a moment's hesitation, Chad abruptly shoved Keanu hard. The unexpected push caused Keanu to stumble back a step, but he immediately regained his balance. There was no surprise or fear in his eyes, only unwavering resolve and a hint of sadness. The supermarket security guard, Mike, a burly and experienced man, and shortly after, the store manager, Mr. Harrison, began approaching the commotion. Mike swiftly moved toward the scene, while Mr. Harrison, seemingly grasping the situation immediately, asked with concern in his voice, "Is there a problem here?" The tension permeated the air. Chad quickly shifted his stance, accusingly pointing at Keanu. "No, there's no problem. It's just this guy. This guy is interfering with me," he sputtered, panic evident in his voice. However, his words were cut short. The store manager's eyes fixed on Keanu, and his face registered both shock and deep respect. It was clear he recognized him. This was no ordinary customer dispute. Keanu, despite Chad's behavior, turned to the store manager and, in a calm tone, said, "This gentleman here was being unfairly treated," gesturing towards Walter. "I think these gentlemen need to calm down. This is a supermarket, not a boxing ring. Keanu's voice was neither a complaint nor a demand, merely an observation, but it carried weight. The store manager understood. He didn't utter Keanu Reeves's name, but the expression on his face conveyed everything. He turned to the security guard and, in a firm tone, addressed Chad. "Sir," he said, "I must ask you to leave the premises immediately. We cannot tolerate you disturbing our customers and creating a disturbance. Our security cameras have recorded everything. We do not condone this type of behavior." Chad was caught between astonishment and fury. "What? By what right? I'm a customer. What have I done wrong?" he yelled, his voice trembling, but his energy was draining. But security guard Mike was already by his side, his strong presence encircling Chad. "Either you leave willingly or we escort you out. The choice is yours," Mike said, his voice cold and resolute, leaving no room for argument. Chad, seeing that the crowd had now fully turned against him, that cell phones were still recording, and that the store employees were resolute, felt the last vestiges of his arrogance melt away. If he stayed for another second, the footage would go viral, and his life would be turned upside down. He might lose his job. He'd be humiliated on social media. With a look of deep shame, he mumbled something like, "This is unbelievable," and swiftly pushed his shopping cart away from the checkout, heading towards the market exit. It was as if he had vanished into thin air, leaving behind only shock and relief. Even the cashiers, who had been silently watching, let out a collective sigh. Chad's departure left a palpable shift in the supermarket's atmosphere. The lingering tension dissipated like smoke. Customers exhaled a collective sigh of relief. Some almost raised their hands to applaud, but thought better of it, unwilling to disrupt Keanu's calm demeanor. Keanu, meanwhile, slowly bent down and, with gentle care, picked up the box of spilled cereal and the scattered flakes. He even pulled a clean cloth from his bag to tidy the floor. "Are you all right, sir?" he asked Walter, his voice soft, as if the previous confrontation had never occurred. Walter looked at Keanu, his eyes welling up with tears, not just from the lingering sting of humiliation, but also from the overwhelming and unexpected kindness. It had been such a long time since anyone had shown him such genuine compassion. He mumbled, I thank you so much, young man. Why did you help me? No one else did." His voice was faint, laden with the weariness of years and his current profound gratitude. Keanu offered that famous, warm smile of his. His eyes met Walter's, and in their depths there was a profound understanding. "Because it was the right thing to do, sir. No one deserves to be treated like that. And besides, no one should ever feel alone. Sometimes a small helping hand can change everything." Keanu proceeded to assist Walter with his remaining shopping, helping him place the items on the conveyor belt. As they reached the cashier, Keanu even reached into his pocket for his own payment card, intending to cover Walter's bill. Walter protested, No, there's no need for that. My pension just came in. I can afford it." But Keanu gently raised a hand. "Please, let me do this. It's a small gesture. Perhaps one day you can help someone else." Without giving Walter a chance to argue further, he completed the payment, the cashier looking on with a mixture of surprise and admiration. As they left the checkout, Walter looked back at Keanu, tears still glistening in his eyes but now mingled with a spark of genuine gratitude. You are different," he said, his voice trembling. Keanu's reply was simple, yet carried a profound message. "We are all just people, Walter. What matters is how we treat each other. And sometimes the greatest strength is reaching out a hand when someone needs it, even if it's as simple an act as offering a glass of water." In that moment, amidst the supermarket's bustle, time seemed to stand still. Those simple words touched Walter's heart, making him feel, for the first time in a very long time, that he wasn't alone. As he walked beside Keanu, he felt a little stronger, a little less invisible, as if a great weight had been lifted from his shoulders. He glanced at the slightly faded rose in his card and smiled. It seemed to have come back to life. As Keanu exited the supermarket, he was stopped in the parking lot by a group of young fans, eager for photos. He patiently smiled with each one, chatted briefly, and even shared a laugh at one of their jokes. There was no hint of celebrity aloofness. His sincerity and humility were evident in every gesture. This is why he was not merely a movie star, but a true figure of inspiration to millions. Walter that day didn't just go grocery shopping. He received an invaluable life lesson. As he walked home, his steps were more resolute, his shoulders a little straighter, and a faint, heartfelt smile graced his face. He didn't know that what had transpired that day would go viral on social media, that millions would be discussing Keanu's intervention, and that this ordinary supermarket scene would be etched into memory as a poignant reflection of humanity. More than being a mere participant in the event, Walter felt a profound sense of pride in having witnessed the power of kindness and courage, and in seeing how that power was wielded by a quiet hero. He no longer felt like a burden. Instead, he embraced the thought that life might still hold new surprises for him. Perhaps tomorrow he too could help someone else. Perhaps he could pass on the lesson he had received from Keanu. Let us remember that a person's true worth is not measured by their achievements or possessions, but by how they choose to treat others. And sometimes the greatest heroism emerges in the most ordinary moments, from the most unexpected individuals.